Into Studio 10. It's been 5 months since the coronavirus pandemic began to shake up the country. Tomorrow on Perspectives with Eric Reynolds, we talk with two of Mobile County's top health leaders on where we are as a community now, and also touching on school reopening and all the factors at play. There are so many permutations of where this goes and who it affects. Eric is here with us to give you a preview of this Perspectives. Eric, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to see you.
So really interesting because you talked to these two top health leaders months ago. This is a good way to reflect on what has taken place since then and hear their thoughts on it.
Very good point, because we were at a certain point at that time where the numbers were slowly rising and we were seeing what communities it was affecting, a lot of stuff taking place in the senior facilities. And so it's sort of, though, the last few months has changed to where we're more mainstream. We all know someone who's either been diagnosed or in some cases, unfortunately, we've lost people that we know. And so this was an opportunity to get a bearing on where we are. We're hearing a lot of different stories where we're up high, but then we are seeing a decrease. And so, you know, what exactly are we talking about here? Because we need to know. And then, of course, the reminder now where the mask issue is more dominant than it had been initially. And then, of course, social distancing. And then we have the holidays in there. So a lot of things on the table to get a little more clear understanding from them. And so hopefully that will happen this Saturday, because they share the information. We have a chance to talk to them for a few minutes, and they give us a good understanding of where we need to be right now as a community, and then, of course, where we go ahead from this point.
And of course, everyone has different opinions, but part of that discussion, like you said, is where do we go from here? I think that's what people think is the most important thing, is how do we get back to whatever you want to call it, a new normal or whatever, or where do we go? So tell us who these health officials are that you're talking to.
Well, we've got Dr. Bert Eishold. He's the health officer for the Mobile County Health Department. He joins us, as well as Dr. Randy Murphy, who is an epidemiologist and also over the surveillance department of the health department. And of course, we've seen her a lot during this period talking about what has happened in the previous week and as we have our daily briefings. And so they both give us some good understanding there. And when you were talking about, you know, looking at where we are, how now does the school issue tie in? Because now we're putting many of our kids back out into the open environment again for the first time in 5 months after schools closed back in March. And so we hear from them of what their thoughts are about what's going to happen. And then, of course, this last week or so, we've seen some evidence of what might be ahead. So we talk about, you know, is that going to create another spiking point here locally? And then we've got another holiday coming up, I want to say Memorial, but Labor Day weekend, and that's also in the picture.
Well, in regards to that, too, according to the statistics and the numbers that they presented us, it looks like from Memorial Day and from July 4th, the numbers did have a spike after those holidays. So they're thinking about that. They're thinking about schools reopening. A lot of factors as to how do we get this under control? Well, more and more people are getting together.
That's right. And of course, the bottom line is it's up to us. That's really what they tell us, because we're the ones who are making those choices about, do we go back to our churches and synagogues, and do we go to the restaurant and eat in, or the bar where people are serving drinks and people are talking. And we also are hearing more information about how the virus travels in the air, and then how ventilation plays a part. So all these factors into place, but they lay down as far as what we need to be doing, how we need to be socially interacting, and then, of course, how do we get to this point where we start pushing this number down, because we are still number 2 in the state, and Mobile and Jefferson County growing rapidly, while we see some slowing down in the Montgomery and Huntsville areas. And so we definitely have got to get a handle on what's happening here in Mobile. And then Baldwin County's numbers have not as high as Mobile, but they have grown in the last 4 weeks as well.
All information that is important to be discussed, important to hear about. If folks want to listen to this Perspectives, when can they tune in? We'll
be right here tomorrow morning at 9, right after the morning news with Asha and Matt. And then, of course, if you miss us on Saturday morning, which can be tough sometimes, don't forget our Fox 10 YouTube channel, as well as our website. It's always posted there after it airs.
All right, Eric, thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, Asha.